For many of us, Sunday gatherings have been a key place where we've grown spiritually. And right now we're missing those special moments of worship, fellowship, prayer and discovery. Many of us are feeling a little emptier. Maybe a question we should all be asking at the moment is, how do I keep growing spiritually at home? How do I stay hungry for Jesus and keep connected to him? How do I keep my faith alive and well, active and well fed, growing deeper, stronger, higher and further? How can I use this space and time to have a faith that is homegrown?
In John's Gospel, we meet a man sat by a pool. Now, this wasn't the kind of pool that you'd book on lastminute.com. This place was called the House of Mercy, or Bethesda in Greek. And it was there that those who were desperate for healing gathered. Local legend had it that an angel would occasionally stir up the waters, and if you were the first and the fast enough and the strong enough to get yourself into the pool, you would find the healing that you sought. And so under the pillars that surrounded the pool lay people who just sat there studying the waters for signs of spiritual activity, waiting and hoping, most ready to pounce, but others, as we're about to see, were a bit more resigned to their place in life. One day in strolls Jesus, and he gets talking to a guy who's been taking up a spot on the steps for about 38 years. His dreams of healing had 38 years of failure crushing it down, 38 years of stagnant dust gathering on top of it, but he had nowhere else to go, and so he just lay there 38 years in the same position. And this day, with a look of compassion, Jesus probes a little deeper. Do you want to get well? Now this man, just like us, is very quick with reasons why he can't lift himself out of his position and why he can't find the healing that he knows he desperately needs. And then Jesus says to him, arise, a word, by the way, that literally means wake up, pick up your mat and walk, or more accurately, pick up your mat and you will walk, you'll be able to. Question, is Jesus making a suggestion or giving a command here? But either way, right throughout the Gospels we see this. The very atmosphere of Jesus' presence is pregnant with expectation. Faith rises at his promise, and at his word, the man is able to get to his feet and begins to walk. This is a strange thing, but often demonstrations of hope are offensive to those with no hope to offer. Religious thinking is particularly prone to being offended by what it can't control or replicate or explain. And rather than being able to celebrate the healing that had happened place, soon enough the Jewish leaders are there taking issue with how and when this happened. In verse 16, John tells us this: because Jesus was doing these things on the Sabbath, the Jewish leaders began to persecute him. But in his defense, Jesus says this: my Father is always at his work to this very day, and I too am working. This coming Wednesday, the 23rd of September, it will be 6 months since the UK officially went into lockdown. That's over 180 days, and by my count, check it because I'm hopeless at maths, I think that's 26 Sundays online. Now, we're nowhere near clocking up the 38 years that this guy had, but nevertheless it is starting to feel like a very long time indeed. But I very much suspect that our God is not just sat around waiting for Sundays before he allows his work to continue in you and in me. What was it that Jesus said? My Father is always at work to this very day. See, they thought that if God was going to heal anyone, he'd do it in the waters, in this pool that they'd built around stories of the past, in the way that he'd done it before. So much so that when God walked in, most people's gaze was still on the water, waiting on a little ripple and missing the streams of living water that had just come crashing in. I wonder if this is Jesus' question to me and to you right now and to a church in lockdown. Do you want to get well? Do you want to change? Do you want to rise up? Do you want to grow? Even if that means letting go of what you thought I'd do. Even if that means changing the places and the ways you've looked for me before. Even if that means walking away from the safe and the known and the comfortable. In this Homegrown series, we're asking ourselves the question right now, how can I keep my faith growing at home? How can I feed my faith and keep it healthy? How do I keep exercising what I'm learning and keep my faith fit and active? Let these words of Jesus breathe pure oxygen into the flame of that question. My Father is always at work to this very day. I guess the real question is, are you? Are we prepared to put in the work, to get up and walk at his word, to take him at his word and allow our faith to rise to his promise rather than try to drag the promise down to our level of faith? So, if God is always at work, what seems to be the things that slow down that work in you and in me? I've called this part of the series Growing Pains. What are the barriers that threaten to stunt the growth of our faith and hold us back from greater maturity? Well, tonight I want to land on just 3 words. Our growth is so often blocked by a lack of dream, desire, and design. Number 1, the dream. When Jesus asks this man here, do you want to get healed? Did you catch the answer that came back? Everyone else gets there first. Healing is for them. Change, growth. That's what God does in other people's lives. I remember as a teenager when the National Lottery was launched, their advert teased us with this giant blue hand coming and pointing at somebody out of the sky, and this booming voice, the slogan, "It could be you." And they did such a great job of advertising it that we were all saying it to each other, "It could be you." And sometimes we treat God's work as some kind of cosmic lottery that we sit back and let other people enjoy, never really believing it could be me. God might actually be wanting to speak to me. God might actually want to meet and touch me, heal me, move me, use me. And we just don't dream it could be us. And this small vision for growth can keep us stuck in one place and stunted in our journey. But think about this. How many of the disciples that Jesus called were really great prospects when Jesus called them? Fishermen, tax collectors, and zealots. They were outcasts, rebels, rejects, hardly good material for starting a world-changing movement with. Zoom out from the Gospels. Name me one person in the Bible that God comes to with a life-changing mission who responds with, "Ah, yes, I was waiting for your call. I'm just the kind of person you need." Well then, if it could be them, then it could be you. Or if we don't dream it could be us, we think that healing, encounter, or change can only be found somewhere else. We stare longingly at the waters, places others have been, experiences others have had. That's what God does in other people's lives, but not for me. If only I was in that place. If only I was this person. If only I hadn't done this. If only I wasn't little old me. See, this question, do you want to get well, is perhaps not as strange as it first seems. It serves to probe us deeply, to expose our excuses, and if we allow it, to create a space where we can dream again, where faith can rise again. It could be me. It could be here. It could be now. Dream. Even in the house of mercy, even on a Sabbath day, even after 38 years, dream. Even in lockdown, even at home, even now, even you, dream. because change is possible in Jesus and growth is for everyone in his kingdom. Secondly, desire. The number one reason for seasons of no spiritual growth or slow or sporadic growth is simply because we don't want to grow. Or to put it more accurately, we don't want to do what we need to do in order to grow. Like this bloke in chapter 5, the view from our mat becomes familiar, becomes comfortable, manageable, and our desire to see God at work in us and through us begins to drift away. We begin to press the brakes on our progress, and what was once a pit stop becomes a permanent parking spot. More and more we fill the hunger with less and less healthy things until we're satisfied where we are, until we're so distracted from God's work in us that there is no room left for him to fill. And worse still, we blame shift, and we see the faults in the situation and avoid the solution we imagine will be too scary or too difficult or too painful. It's not me, it's the others. It's not me, it's the system. It's not me, it's the restrictions. We'll never seek the changes we know we need until the fear of staying where we are is scarier than the fear of stepping out. Do you want to get well? How much do you want it? How hungry are you to grow? So we grow according to our dream, our vision for the person that Jesus is calling us to become, according to our desire, how much we want it and how much we're willing to give to get it, but also we grow by design. I love to picture this man nervously getting to his feet, slowly trying out his newly working legs and allowing the blood to rush to the soles of his feet for the first time in years, gradually discovering miraculous strength in muscles that were wasting away, finding an ability he never thought he'd have again, and step by step walking into a freedom he scarcely believed possible, and all because of Jesus. See, that's how real and lasting change happens, step by step, starting with Jesus, with his presence in our lives, his power, his promise, and then never leaving his side. There isn't a single Christian on the planet who closed their eyes to pray the sinner's prayer and then opened them again a fully formed disciple. It takes a lifetime of walking with Jesus. Now, yes, there are growth spurts. Yes, there are seasons of refreshing. Yes, one word from Jesus can break years of habits, chains, patterns, thoughts, sins. But the same Jesus who invites us all to follow him also says this: whoever does not carry their cross and follow me cannot be my disciple. Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? Before you get up and follow, sit down, work it out, count the cost. We grow by dreams, desires, and design. Don't just hope for growth, plan for it. How will you spend time with Jesus at home? Get really intentional about this. What is that actually going to look like for you? Is it reading a book, listening in the silence, expressing it through music or art, finding soul space by getting out and walking, enjoying creation, investing in a small group, talking with a friend, reading a blog, writing a journal, praying for the world? What will it look like for you tomorrow? Because if we don't know now, then probably the answer is nothing. It won't happen, we won't change, we won't grow, and we shouldn't be surprised we didn't make space for it, we didn't make room for it, we didn't plan for it. Things grow best by design. So, let's ask ourselves the question right now: what's Jesus' designs on our time right now? What's his design on our life? Jesus says, "My Father is always working to this very day, and so I am too." Question is, are you?
Every day we ask so many questions. What should I wear? What's the weather going to be like? How am I going to fit everything in? But then there are those bigger questions, like why am I here? Where am I heading? Is there more to life than this?
I had arrived at an answer to the most important issue that we humans ever deal with. Is there a God? And I had arrived there without ever really looking at the evidence. And I was supposed to be a scientist.
At 28, I had gotten many of the things that I thought I wanted. My girlfriend was on the cover of magazines, I had a Beamer, and I was so unhappy. It was a realization maybe that I would never find happiness where I was looking for it.
I think for so many years, I always just strived to be strong in myself. All I needed was me and my buddies and, we'd be like invincible. But the truth is, none of us are.
I found purpose, I found meaning, I found hope. God took something so broken and made it a beautiful art piece.
Alpha is a place where you can be yourself. You can say what you think and challenge everything. No question is too complex or too simple. And what your point of view is as important as anyone else's.
We are going on a journey together, an adventure to explore the questions of life, faith, and meaning.